unexpected, right? Like we made a that's the first word that comes to mind. We made a prediction. We figured this would be a blowout. Colorado had all of the motivation to go into this game and win big. The thing we didn't take into account is that it was a rivalry game, right? Like Colorado State, that's like, North Carolina Duke in basketball, right? Um, Anytime you have a rivalry game, it can go any way. And Colorado State gave Colorado a run for their money. I mean, a double overtime thriller. Coming out of this game, one thing I can say is we saw it, um, flashes of it, and it was kind of masked by just the sheer dominant performance from the offense when it comes to Colorado. But this Colorado defense is very suspect. Right now, they
God,
rank
it's trash.
122nd in the country, 122nd in the country, giving up over 440 yards a game. They've got some big matchups coming up, but to give up that type of yardage to, and listen, Colorado State has a legit NFL receiver on their roster, right? Like, let's not play any games about that, right? They got
Dude,
two, two, because the kid from BYU, I can't think of his name right now.
he nice too.
Yeah, so they've got some legit talent on that team. However, for you to rank 122nd in defense, I think this the defensive front has what, 8 sacks in 3 weeks. Um, it just doesn't look good, and it's not going to bode well against Oregon and USC over the next 2 weeks. But overall, just looking at the Colorado State game, what are your thoughts on it, Doug? What do you take away from that game?
Well, I can tell you this. I don't know if you all social media like that, but JT and I are. And ESPN had posted this photo of this guy in front of his big screen TV watching the Colorado and Colorado State game at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was us because we were on the East Coast. So, like I told JT before, man, the reason why I don't watch Pac-12 football like that historically is because these late games. But that one was a thriller. I think this may go down as one of the best games of the season. Yes, there's still more to be unfolded this season, but I think that's going to be one of the candidates for one of the best games of the season. All the hype leading up to the game was amazing. You got The Rock there at Boulder. You got Offset. You got Kawhi Leonard. Hey, Kawhi
You got Wayne there.
So Kawhi Leonard there. You got, Chauncey Billups, Kyle Lowry. You got a plethora of stars there just to watch this game. So the hype leading up to it was phenomenal. I think the Colorado State Rams did a phenomenal job taking, you know, allowing the coach to put a battery in their bag and go out there and play pretty good football. If you ask me, they had made some costly mistakes, and honestly, I really thought they were going to win the game at one point. But I told myself, hey, this is Coach Prom. He's not going to let that go down, and the players are not going to let that happen either. And so they came out victorious. But shout out to both coaches, Coach Prom and Coach Norvell, two black men out in the world competing at a high level, inspiring kids, motivating kids, and bringing out the best in those young men.
For sure. And shout out to Shador Sanders for leading a 98-yard drive with the game on the line, executing to get the two. I mean, like, it's just like
You called him T12 a few weeks ago.
that I told you. And that's the first person he mentioned post game. If they're able to win one of these games over the next 2 weeks, I feel like that drive and again some sustained play over the rest of the season. Now he did have one interception, his first interception of the season. Wasn't really his fault.
Not
wasn't
at all.
wasn't wasn't probably the right read to make that throw, but it definitely wasn't his fault.
The ball
It,
in his hands, though.
it
I
hit
think
his hands.
he put that ball in a space that his receiver is the only person that could get it.
Right,
Watch
right.
it. He,
It
he
was it was double coverage, but
those are
it hit
down.
his hands, so he
Yeah,
still caught it.
but
You know, and really, he didn't really drop the ball. He got it kind of taken away from him. So it was, we got to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt with that. But listen, that drive and then a win over Oregon or USC, you can lose one. I think we got ourselves a Heisman Trophy winner in Shador Sanders. I'm calling it now. Because
Well,
what looked like a rocky night, on Saturday night, still ended up to be over a 300-yard night with 4 touchdowns. So
and, and see, just to add to that, man, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just while
we
it's
good.
fresh in my memory, you got to think about how many balls were dropped by his teammates. I
A
mean,
lot.
technically, she only had like 5, maybe 6 incompletions. Like, he's by far one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football right now.
Right, for sure. And he's just playing lights out. I mean, again, we talked about it in a video previously where we talked about what he was able to do in 2 years at Jackson State, what the numbers were there. SWAC championships, playing in the HBCU National Championship or the Celebration Bowl, as it's called. And he just lights out. So it's going to be interesting to see what this team is able to do. Sometimes it takes a scare like that to get your team to realize what they need to tighten up on and to bring them back to reality. So maybe that was the game that they needed to go into these next 2 weeks. It's going to be tough without Travis Hunter,
Yeah,
who I'm suspecting won't play in either one of these big games that they have coming up. But you never know. We haven't got an official prognosis on his injury, so let's wait to hear that. But as always, listen, Dub and I are here for y'all. Give us that CLS treatment, comment, like, subscribe. We'll be back with more from me in the arena.